Today's poem for discussion is A Poison Tree by William Black. Now let us first try to understand what the poem is about. This poem describes the human nature. Here, the poet mainly talks about human anger and the passion for taking revenge on enemies. He finds anger as the most destructive human emotion. So, here, the poet mainly focuses on human anger, which he considers as one of the bad qualities of human beings. The poet also conveys a message that the conflicts must be resolved without any violence. Now, let us try to understand the first stanza of the poem A Poison Tree. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath. My wrath didn't. I was angry with my foe. I told it not. My wrath did grow. This poem starts with a story, and in the first stanza, the poet says that once he gets angry with his friend, he discusses his anger with his friend, and after discussion, his anger gets subsided or ended the next time. But the next time, when he gets angry with his enemy, he does not discuss it with his enemy. The result is that his anger begins to grow like a tree. So, here the main thing the poet wants to say through the first stanza is that whenever we are angry with somebody, whenever we are angry with somebody, we should discuss our anger with that person as the anger gets over when it is discussed. Now, see the next stanza. And I watered it in tears, night and morning with my tears, and I sunned it with smiles and with soft, deceitful wills. Now, in the second stanza, the speaker or the poet waters the wrath or the tree of wrath with his fears twice a day, means night and morning with tears. He also says that in order to hide his grudge, he smiles like a sun every time he sees his enemy. He also helps his grudge or wrath grow by dishonest, strict, or soft, harmful emotions. So the poet, through the second stanza, wants to say that we should not hide our grudge, as if it is hidden, it will grow like a tree or as big as a tree. Now see the third stanza of the poem. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright, and my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. Now, through the third stanza, the poet wants to say that the tree of anger grows day and night, and finally it bears fruit. But in fact, it is not a fruit, it is a poison that grows on the tree of anger. Later, the shining fruit is noticed by the enemy of the poet, and so the enmity between them remains no longer hidden or concealed. The enemy of the poet can feel it, means the enemy of the poet can feel the enmity present between them from a distance due to its bright color. And so now the enemy is aware of the poisonous nature of the poet. So, the main thing that the poet wants to say through the third stanza of the poem is that the enemy has now become aware of the poisonous nature of the poet. Now, see the fourth stanza and the last stanza of the poem A poison tree, and into my garden stole when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning, glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. Now, the last stanza says that the enemy of the poet gets attracted towards the bright apple. The bright apple here refers to the plot that the poet had created in order to trap his enemy. And so the enemy enters into the garden of the poet when it is completely dark, even the pole star is not visible, and the enemy is trapped and gets killed there. And so in the morning when the poet wakes up, reaches to the tree, he is happy to see his enemy lying dead under the tree. So the main thing that the poet wants to say through this last stanza is that even after the enemy becomes aware of the enmity nature of the poet, he is not able to recognize or he is not able to understand the plot created by the poet, and that's why he is trapped and gets killed. So the conclusion is that whenever somebody is angry, what happens? The anger starts dominating him. The anger overpowers him, and that's why he is not able to concentrate on his own work. So it is better to share your anger, discuss your anger with that person, and end it by discussion. And that's all.